not 100%
Not in an
sure.
aesthetically pleasing kind of way.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not saying it's going to look good. You may look like the guy
Jim Carrey. You may end up looking like Jim Carrey. Do you see
Jim
that?
Carrey.
No,
Jim
yeah.
Carrey looks like he got plastic surgery at his most recent award show appearance, and it looks so unlike his real self that the internet has already decided that's not Jim Carrey. He's been replaced. That's a body double. Or some people are even like, oh, Jim Carrey sent a body double or an impersonator to the award show as a joke, and then people were like, Jim Carrey's dead. That's a Jim Carrey replacement, and like it looks so unlike his.
Yeah.
He does look bizarre. Like it looks like he stole the buccal fat from all those girls.
Yes,
threw it in his own face.
He's got Anna Taylor-Joy as buccal fat and it pumped into his cheeks or something like that. He looks bizarre, which is a shame. I was always a big Jim Carrey fan. I was the right age to be a big Jim Carrey fan, like the right age for like Austin Powers too. Like I was a teenager, like during his heyday. I think in '94 he had like 3 hit movies. It was like Dumb and Dumber and a couple others. Like he was just so big. The Mask, maybe. Like I loved The Mask as a kid. Loved all those Jim Carrey movies. Liar Liar. Loved Liar Liar. We owned that on VHS, so I'd watch it over and over. Ace Ventura, all that stuff.
Ace Ventura, evergreen. Haven't seen it in years, but it's very funny.
I tried to watch it a while back. He starts talking out of his ass, and it just doesn't click anymore. You know. Look at that. Well, that actually doesn't look that bad. That looks more like him, but it's still he still looks bizarre.
I've seen other ones that didn't look as good.
Yeah,
I don't know why his lips look like that. Why do his lips look like that?
Because that's a faker. That's not Jim Carrey.
He looks very.
I mean, like I feel like if one person should not be fucking with their facial control ever at all, it's Jim Carrey. It's like that's your bread and butter, man. Like don't risk having a forehead that doesn't work.
He makes Sonic the Hedgehog movies now. He's Professor Robotnik or whatever. He doesn't care about his filmography, I don't think. I don't think he needs the facial stuff anymore either. He hasn't really done that since the 90s. I don't know. I like Jim Carrey. I always liked his more serious roles too. The Truman Show is amazing. Like he's really good in that.
What was the one I did like Truman Show? 23?
Yeah.
33?
23, I think. The 23? Number 23 maybe is what it's called. It's something like that. Or number where he's going insane.
That was not good.
That wasn't great.
Not
no.
like that.
Of course, I was pretty watched it.
He needed someone in his life to snap him out of it. They went along with his 23 thing too long. And then I don't even remember the end. I lost interest. I don't remember if he was on to something or if he just had lost it. Do you?
I watched it when it came out, and I literally remember renting it from the movie store. So that was a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been. Now all the movie stores I see are in rural areas, and they also sell CBD.
Yeah, you got to diversify if you're trying to rent DVDs these days, I guess.
Yeah, there's one in like Cape Girardeau that's like Hollywood Video and CBD.
I think there's one here in Atlanta called Videodrome. Videodrome Atlanta. We used to go there all the time. Like whenever there was a time, maybe 10 years ago, where everything wasn't rentable. Like you couldn't just find an app with certain movies, and I would go to Videodrome to just rent a DVD.
Yeah, I haven't been to one forever. Store? Probably never will again. Yeah. Not much reason.
That's kind of sad, isn't it, man? It was such a like cultural thing. I always really looked forward to it. It was one of my favorite things to do on a Friday after school. If I could get my parents to take me to the movie store and let me get, they'd have a deal where it was like 3 movies for $5 or whatever it was, and it was like, 3 movies.
Were they usually in stock?
Yeah, we had pretty good.
Seeing like walls of movies, all of them out. Like it was just so frustrating to have like 28 out of 28 copies not there.
New releases would be like that sometimes. Like if something big just came out, they would have like 15 copies, 20 copies, and they'd all be checked out. Mm-hmm. But with that many floating around, like you could I would call. I'd be like, hey, did you get the Terminator back in yet? No? All right. And I'd like call back every half hour or so until they had the Terminator back. And we live close enough that you just zip up there and grab it. I specifically remember doing that, not for the Terminator, but for something else, I'm sure.
Did you ever roll the dice and like go to the sections that were like Steven's Choice? And it was the guy who worked there named Steve, and like you could kind of see like, oh, Steve's a horror guy. Julie likes her rom-coms. That was
they didn't do anything like that. They didn't do that, and they also had like no adult like section or anything like that. It wasn't like a corporate store either. It was, what was that place called? There was a bunch of them. There was a Movies, which was like cow themed. There's like a Holstein on the front. There was Video Warehouse. We weren't bougie enough to have a Blockbuster. And then there was something else. I remember specifically in my town, it was a whole business. In my little town, there were like 3 or 4 video rental places. Like it was a good small business to get into until, streaming took over and Netflix took over.
Mm-hmm.
Once you could get those DVDs mailed to you and just have them constantly coming back in, there was no reason to go anymore.
Yep. Not much need CBD.
That's how I remember. That's how I watched The Office at first. I just remember I was like, I gotta get those DVDs back. I want to see more of this shit. I remember that was the first thing that I was just so into and I binge watched was The Office. And I'm still a big fan of that.
You must have only been able to watch the first seasons that way, because I feel like in the middle of The Office run was when like when did The Office end? Like 2012?
So they did 8 seasons, but I don't know when they started. I don't know the timeline exactly. I remember watching that, like that and True Blood were the 2 things that I was binge watching via like Netflix DVD deliveries, and that's when I like was first introduced to that service, and I was like, this is a godsend. Movie like the movie store sucks. This is so much better. Because every 2 days you get 3 movies or 3 DVDs.
And then that feels so anachronistic now because it's like, what, 3 movies a day? No, I need unlimited access to hundreds, if not thousands, of bad movies. And then when I come across a movie that I like, it has that little gold purchase option on Amazon. And it's literally 100% of the time where I land on a movie and I'm like, oh, this could be good. Of course. And I can't rent it for $2. You want me to buy this movie to have in my stuff until eventually you remove it from the service and I just don't have it anymore?
Yeah. That's kind of the business model right now. It's frustrating. I've got most of the services too. I've got Peacock, Paramount, Hulu. Amazon Prime is probably the one I spend the most time on besides YouTube though. Amazon's got a ton of old movies that I like to watch. Like I've been watching a bunch of 80s and 90s stuff. I watched Videodrome last night. That's a fucked movie. That's a fucked up movie. Videodrome it's a weird movie. It's kind of hard to explain. I think it was made in the late 70s or early 80s or something like that. And it's hard to explain what it's about. There's people like with like pussies in their stomach getting cassette tape shoved in there and hallucinations and weird psychosexual stuff happening. It's very violent and very weird.
My Reddit filters that out. I can't find it.